South Africa, a land of breathtaking beauty. Towering mountains, vast savannas, and a coastline that stretches as far as the eye can see. But South Africa's beauty is more than just skin deep. It lies in the rich tapestry of its people, their cultures, and their stories.
Long before the arrival of European ships, South Africa was a land teeming with life, a symphony of diverse cultures and traditions. For millennia, the southern tip of Africa was home to the San, the first people to walk this land. They lived in harmony with nature, their lives intertwined with the rhythms of the earth. Their knowledge of the land was profound, understanding the seasons, the plants, and the animals that shared their world. The Khoi pastoralists, with their herds of cattle, roamed the plains, their lives a testament to their deep connection with the land. They were skilled herders, moving with the seasons to ensure their cattle had the best grazing. These indigenous communities were the custodians of a rich oral history, their stories, myths, and legends passed down through generations. Around the fire, elders would share tales of creation, of heroes and ancestors, weaving a tapestry of knowledge and tradition.
Imagine a time when the night sky was the only ceiling and the stars, the only guide. The constellations were not just points of light, but stories written across the heavens, guiding the people in their journeys and their lives. This was life in pre-colonial South Africa, a time of deep spirituality and respect for the natural world. Rituals and ceremonies were integral, connecting the people to the land and to each other. The people lived in small, close-knit communities, their lives governed by ancient customs and traditions. Every member had a role, and the community thrived on cooperation and mutual respect. Their world was one of balance, of living in harmony with nature and each other. They practiced sustainable methods of farming and gathering, ensuring that the land could provide for future generations. But this ancient rhythm was soon to be disrupted. The arrival of European powers in the 15th century marked a turning point in South Africa's history, forever altering the course of the nation. The land that had been a sanctuary for its people would soon face unprecedented challenges and changes. The San, often referred to as Bushmen, were the original inhabitants of southern Africa. Their presence in this region dates back to a time long before recorded history, making them one of the most ancient cultures known to humanity. Their history stretches back tens of thousands of years, making them one of the oldest cultures on Earth. The San people have left behind a rich legacy of rock art, which provides a window into their lives, beliefs, and the environment they thrived in. These skilled hunters and gatherers lived in small, nomadic groups, their lives deeply intertwined with the natural world. They moved with the seasons, following the migration patterns of animals and the growth cycles of plants, ensuring their survival in a harsh and ever-changing landscape. Their knowledge of the land, the plants, and the animals was unparalleled. This deep understanding was passed down through generations, ensuring that each new member of the community could contribute to the group's survival and well-being. They communicated through a series of clicks and pops, a language as unique and intricate as the land they called home. This language, known as Khoisan, is one of the oldest spoken languages in the world and is a testament to the San's rich cultural heritage.
The Khoi, often called the Hottentots, arrived in southern Africa later than the San. They brought with them a different way of life, one that was centered around the herding of livestock. Pastoralists at heart, they roamed the land with their herds of cattle and sheep, their lives dictated by the seasons and the availability of grazing land. This nomadic lifestyle required a deep understanding of the environment and the ability to adapt to its changes. The Khoi were known for their distinctive language, characterized by its unique clicking sounds and their intricate beadwork, which reflected their cultural beliefs and social structures. Their art and craftsmanship were not only beautiful, but also served as a means of communication and expression.
Both the San and the Khoi lived in a world where respect for the natural world was paramount. They understood that their survival depended on maintaining a harmonious relationship with their environment. They believed in a spiritual connection to the land, the animals, and their ancestors. This belief was reflected in their rituals and ceremonies, which were designed to honor and maintain this delicate balance. Their rituals and ceremonies reflected this deep reverence, honoring the delicate balance of life. and the interconnectedness of all things. These practices were not just about survival, they were about celebrating life and ensuring the continuity of their cultural heritage. Their stories, passed down through generations, spoke of their origins, their beliefs, and their deep connection to the land. These narratives were a vital part of their cultural identity, teaching the young about their history and the values that held their communities together. These stories, often told through song and dance, were not just entertainment, they were a way of life, a way of preserving their history, their values, and their cultural identity for generations to come. The songs and dances were a living archive, a dynamic way to keep their traditions alive and relevant in a changing world. As the centuries passed, new arrivals began to shape the cultural landscape of southern Africa. The Bantu-speaking people, migrating south from Central Africa, brought with them their own unique customs, languages, and traditions. Skilled farmers and pastoralists, they established themselves in various parts of the region, their settlements gradually growing into powerful kingdoms and chiefdoms. The arrival of the Bantu-speaking people added another layer to South Africa's already diverse cultural tapestry. They brought with them new agricultural techniques, new forms of social organization, and new artistic expressions. Their languages, rich in symbolism and metaphor, added to the linguistic diversity of the region. Their music, often characterized by rhythmic drumming and call and response vocals, filled the air with the sounds of celebration, sorrow, and everyday life. The Nguni, a branch of the Bantu-speaking people, settled in the eastern and southern parts of South Africa. They were further divided into subgroups like the Zulu, Xhosa, Swazi, and Ndebele, each with its own distinct language, customs, and social structures. The arrival of the Nguni people marked a significant shift in the balance of power in the region, leading to both conflict and cultural exchange with the existing inhabitants. Their interactions with the San and the Khoi resulted in a complex interplay of cultural exchange, adaptation, and at times, conflict. Over time, these interactions contributed to the rich and multifaceted cultural mosaic that characterizes South Africa today. The 15th century marked a turning point in South Africa's history. It was a time of exploration and discovery as European powers began to look beyond their borders in search of new lands and opportunities. European powers, driven by the desire for new trade routes and the promise of riches, began to establish a presence on the southern tip of Africa. The allure of spices, gold, and other valuable commodities fueled their ambitions. The Portuguese, the first to arrive, established a trading post at the Cape of Good Hope in 1488, a strategic location on the route to the East Indies. This marked the beginning of a new era of interaction between Europe and Africa.
The arrival of the Europeans brought about profound changes. Their presence was not just a fleeting moment in history, but the start of a long-lasting impact on the region. The introduction of new goods, technologies, and ideas had a significant impact on the indigenous communities. Items such as metal tools, textiles, and firearms began to circulate, altering traditional ways of life. The Europeans brought with them firearms, which altered the balance of power and led to increased conflict between different groups. These new weapons changed the dynamics of warfare and power struggles among the indigenous populations. They also introduced new diseases, such as smallpox, which ravaged the indigenous populations, who had no immunity to these foreign illnesses. The impact of these diseases was devastating, leading to significant loss of life and disruption of communities.
The Dutch East India Company established a permanent settlement at the Cape in 1652, marking the beginning of Dutch colonialism in South Africa. This settlement served as a crucial supply station for ships traveling to and from the East Indies. The Dutch settlers, seeking fertile land and new opportunities, began to encroach on the territories of the indigenous people, displacing them from their ancestral lands and disrupting their traditional way of life. This encroachment led to tensions and conflicts over land and resources. The arrival of the Europeans marked the beginning of a new era in South Africa, an era that would see the rise of colonialism, the displacement of indigenous populations, and the gradual erosion of traditional ways of life. The cultural landscape of the region was forever altered. The seeds of change had been sown, and the South Africa that emerged from this period of upheaval would be forever marked by the legacy of colonialism. The interactions between Europeans and indigenous peoples set the stage for centuries of transformation, conflict, and adaptation.